Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review the Amazon original series, Amazon Video original series, Amazon Prime original series, The Rings of Power Episode 5, Partings. So we're going to release this as an audio-only review. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course here on YouTube. And follow us on social medias at Nerd Soup, at Beau Soup, at Nerd Soup Monkey. Another episode of The Rings of Power where the story doesn't really seem to be moving. It is moving, but there's not a lot of momentum.
No.
There's a lot of potential energy, and I hope that it's building up to an explosive moment of kinetic energy to get scientific on your ass. It's medieval fantasy, but I don't know. Thought I'd bring some real-world sci-fi. At this point, I could use a lightsaber or Palpatine's returned. I don't know, something to spice up this show, because it feels like the episodes, similar runtimes, but they're getting longer. And I don't want to say that they feel like filler, but this felt like filler. Especially when you look at the final scenes of episode 4 and episode 5. They're essentially the same scene, except the characters are wearing cool armor in the second one.
No, because last episode ended with them being like, oh, let's join the fight. And this episode ended with them like, okay, now we're going.
No, now this is the fight. We're really going to go now. We're going to speed things up here.
Yeah, so like 45 minutes into this episode, I got a notification like Aaron Judge is up. So I'm like, I'm going to watch Aaron Judge's at bat. And I just watched baseball for a little.
Middle Earth can wait.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'll just wait for his next at bat because I might as well.
You know what? Yeah, I'm here.
And I eventually just got back to it. And like, that's not a good sign. I'm not grasped. And after the momentum of the last 2 episodes, I felt like we were finally starting to get something here, and then I guess we just have to wait another week. But yeah, this was a tough one to get through. And I don't think it was terrible, but like I'm just not like, even just the release dates, like House of the Dragon, 9 p.m. I'm seated. This was Friday at midnight, Thursday at midnight. Yeah. Well, Friday morning. I waited till like Tuesday.
These streaming services need to stop this. Releasing their shows at midnight.
Yeah, no,
nobody knows when they're coming out.
Time,
it's ridiculous at this point. It makes no sense. There was an appeal to it at the beginning because it was new and exciting. Stay up till midnight. The show drops because that's the date, right? It just makes sense. But come on, give us a set time.
But imagine,
it works
like,
better for your show.
You're a normal person, right? Like I enjoyed waking up every morning.
Okay, let me put myself in.
Yeah. I enjoyed waking up every morning and watching WandaVision. That was like a cool routine that I had. But like, if I'm a normal person, I'm not staying up till midnight to watch an hour and 15-minute show. Friday comes along. Well, I gotta go to work. Gotta feed the kids. Get home from work, dinner, or whatever. And it's Friday night. Am I gonna sit home and watch this show, or am I gonna go out and enjoy myself, go out to dinner, out with my friends? Next thing you know, it's Sunday, and then there's football. Like, when do you expect me to watch this?
Church for me. Just kidding. Yeah, no, it makes absolutely no sense. It's really poor marketing. And the fact that they just won't adjust, Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus as well, it's hurting their shows. They have to, you don't need an analytics department. Just hire us.
Yeah.
They need seriously, all these streaming services need a common sense department. Average people who are tapped in. It's
like baseball. Like, sometimes you got to go with your gut.
Right.
I'm going to apply to Amazon, like their marketing team. And they're like, what are your qualifications? I trust my gut.
What are yours?
I know, I'm trusting my gut. I'm a gut guy.
No, I'm saying you're directing it at them.
Oh, yeah.
What are your qualifications?
Nice. Thank you.
Well, the episode begins with the stranger and the Harfoots. Pick back up with them. We haven't seen them in an episode. Is he Gandalf? Is he not Gandalf? Who cares at this point? If he could just be another stand-in wizard. I was always kind of confused watching the original trilogy about what he can actually do. They do keep his magic. It's a bit numinous. It kind of just works when it needs to work. And we see it here when he defends them against the wolves, kind of proving himself to the skeptical Harfoots who are not so trusting. Because, Nori breaks down all the things that they have to deal with, and no one really helps them out. But now they have the stranger. So that was cool. A little magic force field type of thing. Injures himself. Still getting a feel for it.
They don't play around, man. They're literally just like, let's just leave them and to die.
Yeah. No, those are real conversations that they're having. She was, not only that, let's take their wheels. Take their catalytic converters.
Yeah.
Put them on the open market.
It's,
They got some food. They got some good stuff.
Yeah. But, no, I kind of like those moments. Definitely like seeing their journey with the song. I thought that was pretty well done.
I like songs in the Lord of the Rings world.
Yeah.
And characters break it down.
And like
Poppy with the pipes.
I saw something where like some of the places that they showed were places that you would recognize from Lord of the Rings.
Cool.
I like those
Right, yeah.
visual references.
Well, I find when they're talking about things that I know about them, developing the rings. When Gil-galad is telling Elrond their plan, we're being wiped out, we're losing our magic, our souls are withering away. So and they always show us these stories of things that I would actually want to see. This brave elven warrior channeled all his power into half of the tree, and the Balrog of Morgoth channeled all his power. That's cool. But it's just a flashback animation. Looks great. But I find myself more interested in the things that I already know. It's like the nostalgia bites.
Yeah.
Little pizza bites of nostalgia. But the stuff in between, it's a little rough.
Yeah. Like, I think it's just a little disappointing now that, like, was it episode 6 or 5?
Episode 5.
Of an 8-episode season, and we're still here.
Right, we've only got 3 episodes to go.
And honestly, like, the big conflict they're setting up, I don't know. I'm more interested in, like, some big picture things, but I feel like this is just, I don't know. I think it's going to take, like, a epic last 3 episodes for me to be like, okay, this is worth it.
Well, you would think by now, whether if it's a battle or a dramatic moment, you would have your showstopper that people can point to, but they haven't had that yet. I think the closest that they've gotten is Arondir's prison escape. That was epic. That was cool. It was, well choreographed action scene, well imagined. But other than that, there are no real moments that stick out to me.
Yeah.
Almost the beginning, once again, the beginning montage of Galadriel's brother fighting in that war and then her chasing Sauron. That stuff was the moments that stick out the most to me, thinking back on the first 5 episodes. It's not the character stuff. It's not the development, the in-betweens. The in-betweens are really suffering.
Because even like these big moments for some of the characters in this episode, I think when Galadriel is trying to convince... What the fuck's his name? I just had
Halbrand.
Like when Galadriel is trying to convince Halbrand to join them again, and she's giving him this like monologue. Like, I don't think it was delivered well. I don't think it was well written, and I don't think it was very convincing.
No, it's not.
And when why can't I think of any names right now? Who's Arondir's girl?
Bronwyn.
And when Bronwyn's making this rallying speech, like, that was not a great speech. She says something like, I know I'm not your king or whatever, but she's the leader, I guess, now? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the dynamics are here. But like, none of those moments really grabbed me. I think still the only things I really enjoy, and I know a lot of people hate the Harfoots. I like the Harfoots, and I like Elrond and Durin's dynamic.
Right, and Elrond and Durin, the setup for this was just to send them back to where they came from. So they have to return to the Dwarven Kingdom to convince his father to help the elves out, give them the mithril. And once again, the origin, the Cimmerals, which is, I guess, short for Cimmerillion, the first time I've ever pronounced it correctly, that it's created this ore that the dwarves have found, so we need it to survive. But they were just there. I mean, Elrond, I guess they needed to be open with him, but I'm surprised he wasn't like, well, you could have saved me a fucking trip. Now I have to go back there.
By the way, like, when they're
literally going back to where they just were.
When they're asking Elrond about the mithril, and he's like, I can't break. Like, he's basically admitting that they have found it and they have it.
Yeah, what is Gil-galad, an idiot?
He's like, I can't break an oath. If they didn't have it, you would just say no.
No, yeah, never heard of that.
Why would you hide and make an oath over something that's not there?
Maybe it's more about Gil-galad. Elrond has to not only just admit that he knows, but agree to try and convince the dwarves to work with them. But
sure,
you have to really read into it. Gil-galad just kind of it's supposed to be a moment for Elrond. He's honorable.
I don't think they do. I don't think he did a good job because I don't think that's true. I think they're lying to him.
Oh, about the tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe that did happen, like the whole mithril and the reason why they need it. And I thought it was funny, too, when Elrond was describing to Durin about, like, what happens if they don't get it. And, like, he just described, like, everybody else's predicament. Like, oh, you're just going to die one day. So am I.
Yeah, or immortal
Sorry
souls
you can't
are just
be immortal
wither
anymore.
Well, that's kind of their thing.
I know, yeah.
They've got big plans in the works that involve them being immortal.
Oh, yeah, we definitely need them later on in a couple thousand years. So I'm glad they don't.
Yeah, come on, you want them around. That was cute. Durin pulling it out of him, like pulling teeth. who's your fate's in whose hands again.
Yeah.
So they're dynamic. It is funny at times.
Yeah, I like the whole bit with the table. I think that
The
was
bit with the
pretty
table
funny.
was clever.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
I always love when characters extend a gesture that way, giving him the table, and then, he fleeced them.
Oh, I thought you meant like the gesture of giving me that raw meat.
No, that too.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. But that was also written, you made this point too off the mics, that some of the original dialogue from the original trilogy was funny in that way.
Oh, yeah,
But
Smeagol.
this felt a little bit too on the nose. This is a double entendre for the internet. So we can try. You can't just make a meme. It just has to become a meme. Like, The Boys is the perfect example of that. Things just happen in The Boys. It's just well acted and well told. So out of context, those moments are fun. You just can't. It bothers me.
I think maybe like Jeff Bezos' text to his mistress just got leaked and combined with the script for a second there. And they're like, oh, let's just roll.
Is that how it is? They're all in the same cloud?
Yeah.
Bezos gets final say.
Yep.
They did say they ignored all his notes, so that would be funny if they took that one. And all of a sudden, the showrunners have changed for season 2. I do love this director's name, though, Wayne Shea Yip.
We got to get that table back to the Dwarven Kingdom. We can walk this back, or we can guarantee 2-day delivery with a subscription to Amazon Prime.
Oh, God, that would be... You know what? At this point, why not?
Gets there all like damaged. Oh, should have used Prime.
Yeah, right.
I do like the
That's
Amazon
good.
trucks. You ever see the ones with the boys? It was like back when the boys was out. It was with A-Train on the side of the vans.
Oh, really?
Which is a terrible marketing because A-Train, well, good marketing, but also if you think about it, A-Train just runs through and kills people because he's going too fast. So.
Yeah, it kind of does represent the way Amazon exploits people.
True.
Right.
Very self-aware. But yeah, I think those are like the
Can't
best.
stop them, no matter what.
Those moments between them I really enjoyed, and I liked how that didn't like drive a wedge in their friendship and create some unnecessary divide between them, because at this point, like, them being friends and having these conversations is one of my favorite parts of the show. So
I mean, they better link up with everybody else for the battle, because I want to see Durin in battle. That's the one thing I'm anticipating the most. Arondir with the bow and arrow as well. Love an elf with the bow and arrow, so what tricks does he have up his sleeve?
I don't know, but he's helping serial killer in the making. He's gonna regret
Hey man,
that.
Theo passed the test there. Waldrig was gathering the troops. We're going to go bow down to Sauron. And Theo said, no, I'll do that maybe later. Maybe season 2, but not now.
I fucking hate Theo. Aaron,
Do you really? I mean, you can't hate him in this scene. He was all right.
He's still annoying.
He's learning things. Arondir's... Be more like Arondir. More understanding.
Arondir
Empathetic.
with his terrible time management. It's like, oh, they'll be here in a couple days. Maybe hours.
That is almost like a Family Guy joke. Could be
15
months,
minutes?
years, weeks,
Yeah.
maybe seconds. I don't know. Oh, there they are.
It's like 30, 40
Well, everybody...
seconds, days.
Yeah, between 30, 40, 50.
Yeah, 50. It could be 50.
Yeah.
I do like Adar too, so that's another thing that was a positive. But I wish we saw him in more getting ready. I think the scene he had with the orc when he's telling him about how just like one day we don't have to worry about the sun, basically bringing in the darkness. I liked he was very scary when they came and bowed down to him. Guess he's not Sauron.
I wonder if he's almost trying to infiltrate, if he's doing one of those, pretending to be evil. Because he does feel like a conflicted man. He
He seemed like
basking in the
disgusted
sun.
that they would come and bow down to him, even though he asked for it. Like he was like, and at first I thought like when he told them to kill the other kid, I thought that was gonna be like a test. No, I guess he assumed that the old man killed him. Guess he was just being evil.
Yeah, maybe no, he just kind of is evil. Yeah, those scenes are... The one scene when he brings the orc into the sun was okay. He's definitely... It's a good design, and I think he's really delivering the lines well. He's got an evil tone to him. An evil aura, without a doubt. But it does seem like he is a character where there is more than meets the eye. There's some kind of conflicting actions that he is taking. You know, you'd assume that someone who is evil, who is trying to basically destroy this world and build back up a new one that he sees to his liking with no sun, so that the orcs can just kind of run around. And
He's nice to the orcs.
Right. I guess Mordor is something that needs to be built. Wasn't built in a day. It's like Rome.
Yeah.
Is that where they're heading? I guess that's where they're heading. I'm not too familiar with the geography.
I think
here.
that is going to be more.
That's the Shadowlands, right?
Yeah.
That's just good to be Mordor. Damn, that sucks. Halbrand's got good instincts here. Very prescient. He knows what's going. I mean, but that's the other thing. You mentioned the speech between Galadriel and Halbrand. It wasn't so convincing, but it's got like the Batman v Superman problem. There are a lot of moments where there's slow motion and there's establishing shots and landscape shots and character. Like I said, they're moving in slow motion. They look cool in their gear, but those moments, they don't build up enough to them where they are convincing. So when he grabs the sigil, it's supposed to be, wow, yeah, he's going to claim his throne. But at this point, I'm just annoyed with him.
Yeah, Numenor I'm not a fan of.
And I guess, they're trying to set up so when he's describing what he went through, it cuts to Waldrig and the others bowing down to Adar. So I guess that guilt does overwhelm him. He's afraid of what he can become because of the things he had to do to survive. That's interesting. Little PTSD aspect there, but it still just isn't enough.
No, and I think even, I don't know, the dialogue is so dry at times, and I think like the delivery and the way it's written is just very flat. It's just nothing that really inspires or gets you going or being like, oh wow, this is a cool moment. I want to see where this goes. Ilsador and his group and his sister and his dad, like, I don't really care. The guy who's son to the magistrate guy, whatever, wanting to burn the ships down, like that to me is just not interesting.
Also, yeah, when the daughter was pressuring him to talk to his father, saying, speak louder, it's supposed to, once again, the dialogue there just isn't so strong. These are supposed to be lessons and moments and the metaphors, and none of them really seem to hit. But her bigotry towards the elves, it kind of came out of nowhere. It's something that I guess there were moments when she was listening in on the speech, but that to me was sort of out of left field. I didn't know that the character felt this way until that moment.
Why does she feel that
way?
Right,
why does she feel that? And I guess it's a sentiment that the city does share, but yeah, it just sort of comes out of nowhere.
You can use that sentiment as a blanket characteristic of a group, but when you're trying to focus on one character and develop that character with relationships to other characters that feel differently, then what sets her apart? What experiences has she had, and why does she hold these beliefs?
Right. Yeah, and like you mentioned, the scene between Isildur and his father, he talks about he has to prove himself, and then he does at the end. He basically lies and said, I saved this kid. So his father's like, okay, I guess you get to be part of the command. It's a moment for Isildur, right? It also shows that he's not so honest. So there's your development.
True, yeah.
It feels very CW-y. Yeah, it's like very simple storytelling, and sometimes simple can be effective, but here it's not. It's a lot of tropes, a lot of fantasy cliches, if you will, that we're seeing with these characters. Substitute that for real, honest, raw development.
Where it separates itself from a CW show, though, is just, again, it just keeps looking better and better. Like, it just looks amazing.
But it's getting to a point where I don't want to call it a hollow shell. It just goes to show, no matter how expensive your show is, you can never make up with a giant budget for good character development or storytelling. It really always comes down to that. Whether the budget's 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. So it almost feels like they're flaunting their money at this point. And it's something that I've seen now for 5 episodes. So yeah, continues to look great. Like when the Harfoots are traversing through all the lands in the beginning. Looks really cool. Looks real. But the only Harfoot's name, I know Nori and Poppy, the parents. I don't know their names. I don't know the leader of the Harfoots or his wife. I can't remember any of their names.
Yeah.
I just know they're stinky little creatures. I like them. They're cute. But it would be so much better if we were growing to really love these characters with each episode. Then you can really get lost in the world. Because it's hard to get lost in something that looks so beautiful when there's nothing to latch onto.
And I think it's inconsistent in that regard, where there's certain characters, like, Nori, like Arondir, like Elrond and Durin, but the other half of the characters, like I really don't give a shit about.
And we're also just anticipating Arondir to do something awesome. Yeah. Because they are kind of coasting off of he looks awesome.
No, I like him
he
because
looks like a cool warrior.
Like that cool little chain run slow motion thing he did, and then shooting the arrows, catching the arrow and shooting it. Like that's awesome.
It's very similar to Orlando Bloom. Just looks good in the costume. It's got that natural charisma, but let's see what they end up doing with that character. Mm-hmm. I hope he has some big moments.
It's something where I feel like every week we keep waiting. I don't think it's like something where I want something to happen that didn't, so I don't like it. I just want anything to really happen, and then I can go from there. But I mean, with 3 episodes left, the extended runtime, so a little over 3 hours, I think you can really dive into this back the last third of the series, but I don't know. It's going to take a lot for it to really lift up the rest of the season so far for me. Because I was intrigued in the beginning, I liked it, then it kind of faded off, and I think the 2 episodes prior, I'm like, okay, here we go. And then it's just another middling episode, another setup. We got a setup for the setup.
Yeah. It does feel like filler. We're buying time before the big battle.
And I don't mind filler, buy time, but like at least have the things that happen within that filler be significant, or at least something that I can latch onto.
Yeah, moments that bring your characters together. Like a moment with Isildur and his son. But it happens too quickly, and the prior development isn't there. So when you get to that moment where Isildur realizes, this is what I want to do, I have to prove myself, and he does, it just feels a bit cheap, a bit artificial. We know that Isildur is going to be an important character down the line, so we need to get him on this ship. I think there are smarter ways, more emotionally impactful ways to do that, to bring these characters together. Because obviously Elendil loves his son, and he's been disappointed by some of his actions, and we've mentioned that he's sort of got this, he's got a drifter's mentality. He's itching for something more. He's looking over the horizon. But now he's planting his feet and he wants to fight. It sounds better on paper than the actual execution in the show. Because like I said, Isildur he's part of the first 5 minutes of the Fellowship of the Ring. He's pretty important. So you need to develop him if it's going to reach that moment. The development needs to be strong. And like you mentioned, it has been for characters like Elrond. And I think that actor continues to really deliver. We mentioned it with the actress who plays Galadriel, the ethereal presence. He's got that as well. And even the king who plays Gil-galad. Like I said, I think that may have been my favorite scene of the episode because of that awesome flashback. And getting the goodies from the lore about how the rings were developed and the origin of this metal.
Yeah.
Some cool lore stuff that you can
Which I think is
enjoy.
a change that people aren't too thrilled about.
Really? Well, you know what, man? With this adaptation, all adaptations are always going to change something. It's never going to be fully accurate. And you mentioned this too. It's a lot of cliff notes. And I've heard from people who have read it that it's changing things, but it's also filling in gaps.
Right. I feel like a little bit of
House of
the Dragon is more, I think might be more there, but like there's a lot of filling in gaps too, because it very much reads like a history textbook where not a lot of context, not a lot of details, just more of just a lot of secondary sources. So,
and they are so different. You know, House of the Dragon is most effective when the world feels grounded. And something like Lord of the Rings, being high fantasy, it's supposed to sweep you off your feet. It's supposed to take you to another world, on another adventure. There's elements of House of the Dragon like that as well. But like I said, this is supposed to be epic, high fantasy, otherworldly. Middle-earth is supposed to be a place you can visit and touch the grass and breathe in the air. And 5 episodes in, they're relying too much on that setting. But you do need to develop the things that are, the aspects that make up this world, the things and the people.
And one
That's
thing
most important.
And even though how I say how great it looks, I feel like they struggle sometimes where their focus is the establishing shots and they look breathtaking, but when you get more intimate within a scene, I don't think the settings have been all that impressive.
No, yeah, it's not so interesting when it's those smaller moments.
I think the Elven Kingdom, really comes alive, and the Dwarven comes alive. Numenor, I don't. There's nothing that really stands out to me in those smaller moments.
Yeah, the establishing shots look great.
Yeah.
It looks like a place you want to visit and vacation. But it looks like...
And the Southlands are a big field with little tower, so I guess there's really not much to go into there, but...
Numenor is almost a bit too pristine, a bit too glossy. Doesn't sometimes feel like an actual place that you can visit.
It feels like sets most of the time, where I feel like I kind of get lost in... Like when Elrond was talking to the king by that tree, like I felt like that was coming alive a little. Yeah,
and I think what really does also hurt Numenor is that the politics haven't been that interesting. So we get more about Pharazôn, right? We were wondering last episode, all of a sudden he supports the queen. So he's thinking we'll install this new king in the Southlands and he's going to basically owe us. So essentially we're installing a puppet. We're going to save all these men. They're going to look at us as saviors. So it just increases our power. So for him, it's a chess move of his own. And yeah, so we get that.
Even
he's a schemer.
With the Queen Regent and her father, now he's like, big elf guy.
You just told me to go.
Now he's like, oh no, not you.
The next queen. Yeah, and that actor was a typical old man in a fantasy, giving a warning, an ominous warning. Even the way he spoke. Muriel? Oh, my mind's back all of a sudden. Now I remember who you are. Once again, the cliches, the tropes of fantasy, right? He's the one that pushes her into it. Now he's telling her not to do it. What the hell? What prophecy should I listen to here? He's been telling me this my whole life. Now he's getting cold feet. She looks good in the armor, though. They all look good.
No.
You know what scene I couldn't stand? And I love Galadriel. I would definitely fight front lines for her. If I was Halbrand, she would have convinced me weeks ago. But the scene when she's giving the sword lesson, that was a little goofy and not practical. Why are you using actual swords? I understand she's an elf and she can take it.
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous. Somebody trips you.
I mean,
it's a cool trick.
True, yeah, but like you're also like, yeah, elves are better, but like they're not, like they can be beaten.
She's tap dancing on all of them.
Like, what if Aragorn came out and just like, she's like, fuck, I just got stabbed.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, now I'm dead.
She might
Show's
win.
over.
I think she would probably beat Aragorn, but like someone, like what if this kid is just like the second coming of Jaime Lannister?
Yeah, and the advice there, I don't know. You know, did they not already know how to do that? It's like the basic form for killing somebody with a sword.
I guess they had to like,
bringing everybody together,
find a way
right?
to gain her to gain respect and vice versa, and have this moment of camaraderie. But yeah, if I was watching, I'd be like, oh, we're fucked. These are like our best guys, and they suck.
The whole speech last episode, you think one elf can take us all? One elf literally taking them all.
Yeah.
Destroying them.
I thought Halbrand was going to come up and spar a little.
He did a little trick, yeah. She was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of Aragorn. Wait a minute, that doesn't add up. With these writers, they may bring in Aragorn. He's an immortal man. And she's sparring against Isildur's friends. And they also have this a moment in this episode where they reconcile a bit. Once again, it sounds good on paper in the writer's room. This is how we're going to build trust between the elves and the men. And this is how Isildur and his friends are going to become buddies again.
If you had a gun to my head right now, I couldn't name you any of his friends' names.
I think one of them is Avondil. But who knows if that gun's going off for me. Cut to credits.
Yeah. I mean...
Oh, no. It was Valendil. Fuck.
Dead.
Yeah, going into this episode, I almost forgot what happened with Isildur and his friends. I was like, oh, yeah, he fucked them over, right?
Yeah, like he let go of the rope.
Yeah, he let go of the rope. Fucking dickhead. Classic punch me a couple times and we're buddies again. That's a man thing.
Well, he three-pieced him and was like, still no.
Yeah, that is true.
That was part of the deal.
You're
right,
right,
you get a free hit and you try to get me into the thing. He punched him up and he was like...
They'd still say no.
No, go stop someone from burning the ships down. Terrible investigation, by the way. What kind of operation are they running here? I feel like it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to realize what happened on that boat.
Right, is that
why was he rowing his boat by the fire? Why were you there?
So you were doing something illegal, you were stowing away,
yeah.
And he would just happen to be out on a midnight stroll on his little boat.
Both of you are prime suspects to blowing up that boat. One, you not wanting to leave makes sense, that's a motive, and you not being picked to go, you're jealous, so you blew it up. So
right, yeah, there's no easy answer, easy excuse, but his dad believes him right away. Once again, that's why I think it's a bit cheap that they get to that moment where, oh, wow, now he sees in his son what he's always expected of him, that he is brave and cunning and cool, and he kind of looks like me in a certain light, and he also looks like his mother. You know how kids look. So, but there's so many, I don't want to get hung up on poking holes in plot and logic, but sometimes it's just a little bit too overwhelming, where you have no choice but to say this doesn't feel real enough. It doesn't always have to feel so real.
No, I think...
sometimes you think about your favorite movies and it's like, that doesn't sort of make sense. But in the moment, it was cool. I was swept up in it. But I'm not swept up.
Not swept up.
No.
Swept down.
Like, okay, House of the Dragon, I think I had the most criticism on the last episode. That some of it felt a little too rushed, getting to some of these moments. But with Rings of Power, that's happening too much. It's okay. I think House of the Dragon has had a very strong first season. It's got some flaws here and there, but sometimes, it's not building on its flaws. Most of it has been steady. For Rings of Power, it's just episode after episode. You can just poke holes into things. It's unavoidable at this point. I hate to be this harsh, but
no, it adds up. And I didn't even come in here like wanting to rip on it. I'm just like, oh, that was like another okay episode. It didn't blow me away. But like as we keep talking and things come to mind, I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of like, there's a lot of problems here. 5
episodes in, it's the expectations coming into it. It can't be this bland. if you're promoting a spectacle, then after 4, almost 5 hours, and like I mentioned, there's no showstoppers, there's no big moment that's going viral on the internet, there are no characters trending after the episodes come out.
No one's talking about it.
No, there's no discussion.
And going into this, I'm like, House of Dragon, Rings of Power airing at the same time. It's just going to be a battle on social media, just people talking about it, just taking over the week entirely, and it's been heavily one-sided. And expectation going into it, I don't really take into account how I feel. Like, if I expect one thing and get another, you judge it on what you get. But like, I just think what we got has been good at best at times, but for the most part, it's just been average to below average.
You know what? People always criticize The Force Awakens for being derivative, for following the same formula. This is following a very similar formula to The Fellowship of the Ring, and it's struggling at every single turn, and it's yet to put these characters in peril. By the time you saw the Fellowship in actual peril, you were really, you've grown attached to them by that point. So even when the battle comes, and maybe some of the characters die, or some of the characters do some awesome things, I don't know what type of impact it's going to have on me. It better fucking blow me away. Well, this is where we better see that Big Daddy Bezos budget.
What do you think? When you think about it, like 5 hours and 5 hours plus into this one, and like an hour and 45 minutes into Fellowship, you're like, I would die for any of these characters.
Yeah. Even an introduction like Aragorn in the bar, right? I feel like Halbrand hasn't got that moment. It's just that sort of, the introduction on the raft. A lot of people didn't even like. I remember you didn't really like that scene.
No.
You didn't think it was too scary or spooky or supposed to be a moment that brings Galadriel and Halbrand together. They've never felt like, and I know they're not necessarily supposed to always be on the same page, but they don't have great chemistry as an odd couple.
Yeah, well, a lot of it too is like when Aragorn is introduced and like he's Strider and he's just sitting there.
I forgot he's got the fresh name.
That's intriguing.
Yeah, right.
Nothing about...
That's the key word.
Nothing about... I keep forgetting his name, too. That's how unintrigued I am. Halbrand. Everything that's intriguing about him is like told to me that that he's intriguing. Like, there's more that meets the eye with him because they keep telling me. I want to see that. When I saw that man sitting in the dark room, I'm like, who the fuck's this?
Yeah,
Give me more of this guy. I want to know more about him.
There's no real genuine...
They do a good job with that with Adar, though.
Definitely, yeah.
And the Stranger, I think. But I think with him, it's more of just like...
The atmosphere changes when he's on screen.
Yeah.
You really feel that evil presence, that characters... and there's an unpredictable quality to him as well, because there's a lot of mystery there. That's the key word. But a character like Halbrand, like you mentioned, it's Galadriel telling him and explaining to the audience who he is, who he could possibly be. The fact that she's playing the game here a bit with Muriel, saying, yeah, he's on board.
And even go back to Aragorn, when they finally are informed that he is the heir, like, I was like, oh, fuck, let's go. Like, it's just introduced better. It's developed better. It's presented better.
Yeah, he's a better hero at that point. Mm-hmm. He's got that Jon Snow quality to him that I don't think Halbrand necessarily has. But Teddy made a point that he can't wait for the Stranger to get his wits about him, and I think that those moments have been, they keep you on the edge of your seat. You're waiting to see, what's his agenda. What does he know? Why was he fucking sent here?
I tell you what,
also, that cult. Remember that weird cult?
Oh,
that
yeah.
showed up? Yeah.
What's up with them?
They're like, what's up with this?
Definitely bad guys. I don't.
They didn't look friendly.
No.
So maybe that's going to be the showdown between the Stranger, and they're tracking the Stranger.
Yeah.
So maybe they got wind of, if he is a blue wizard sent here by the good guys, whoever they are, the light side. They, like I said, maybe they got wind of that.
Yeah, definitely a wizard. I think I removed 3 people from my Sauron. Stranger's not Sauron, Adar's not Sauron, and Halbrand isn't Sauron.
I don't think any of them are Sauron.
Witch King, maybe. A lot of people are pointing to Halbrand as the Witch King.
Okay, right. He was the motherfucker who got pieced up by the chick. Is that the Witch King?
Yeah.
I am no man.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, garbage. That is the best example of a woman doing that. Still to this day, I love that.
What?
I am no man.
She
earned it.
Yeah.
That's one of the most earned cheesy "I am no man" lines. It was really the first one because so many movies and shows bit off of that moment. But that was badass. The Witch King, that could be cool. I don't hate that. He sticks around. I guess he does stuff, right? He's in the final movie.
Yeah, he's just
got his beast
floating around.
Beastie. She fucked him up too, right? She fucked up the beast.
Anybody got it that day.
She's putting up wilt numbers. Forget the fucking elephants. Well, the elephants were the bad guys.
And I hope Adar just doesn't die by the end of the season.
Oh, they're definitely going to kill him.
For Sauron, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think they have it in them to keep a villain for 2 seasons that's this cool. I think they're going to go the Marvel route.
I would like him to oppose Sauron, too. I think that would be dope as hell.
Right, yeah. They have been sort of setting up multiple layers to the story. I'm intrigued by the idea that men are destined to always be evil. When they retreat, when they get scared, their instinct is to bow down to this presence in order to survive.
That's why I wanted him to...
It's sort of a tragic fate that they feel they have.
And maybe we'll see it, because it does cut before anything happens. I think it would be awesome for Adar if he rejects that. You know, add another layer, because he does seem sympathetic. Even Arondir to the orcs, like, if this man killed this kid in cold blood in front of him, and he's the type of bad guy that's like, that was a test and stopped him before he did it, like, that's a test, like, I still have some standards here. It's like the Joker.
That could be interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
like the Joker when he sees Red Hood in the crossover, and it's like, I may be a lunatic, but I'm an American lunatic.
Red Skull. Let's not put those accusations on Red Hood.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
Where was Red Hood on January 6th?
Yeah. Well, he was there. He's in his Red Hood.
Yeah, I like a villain with a code.
Villain with a code in this world is something that we really haven't seen. We've seen good guys turn over to the dark side, and that's always tragic. But that would be interesting. Sauron is too extreme for me, so I'm the more moderate version of Sauron, which happens in politics, right? Yeah, he's definitely been a standout. So that should be a fun matchup if Arondir represents the light and he sees the potential in men. So, I don't know. Maybe they're more alike than what's being led on.
Yeah. It was interesting, too. Like, they saw the sword hilts or the key, and you kind of saw that in the structure of the statue that was there. So, I don't know what it means.
That definitely did happen, yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's going to mean something.
I guess it ends, too, with her being like, let's go bow to them now.
Yeah. Yeah, she gives up. Typical Bronn. Has to team up with their enemies.
I bet they hold down the tower. Well, they look up at the tower, so I think they're going to plant like a booby trap, and the tower's going to fall. That's going to work for a little bit, but then the force is going to be overwhelming. You know, they get through that. Kind of how Stannis got through the chain and the wildfire, but he was still like, all right, I'm here now. What do you got? And was able to kind of push a little bit. That's going to happen. And then like how Tywin came and saved the day, here comes Normandir.
Yep, Normandir.
What is it? It's Numenor. Normandir is probably a character.
Probably, yeah. That's where the troops landed in D-Day. That is the hardest line. One of the hardest lines of Game of Thrones. Your Grace, hundreds will die. Thousands. Fucking bars, man. Ready to scrap. This is my throne. Then he got his shit rocked by Tyrion, the GOAT. It's a shame Tyrion and Tywin couldn't work through their differences.
They would have been a fucking unit.
They could have did just tremendous things. But yeah, the Rings of Power. Is there anything else about this episode you want to talk about? I made this point in the last review that it doesn't really leave you with a lot of potential conversations over things. And that could happen with a prequel. But I think, House of the Dragon, there's just more meat on the bones. So there's some things that you can, the character moments, character decisions, some changes as well that people have been frustrated with. But for the most part, I think fans are enjoying this adaptation. There's just more there, even though we know where the story is heading. By the beginning of Game of Thrones, there are no dragons. For some reason, people keep talking about it. And the Rings of Power, it doesn't have those strong characters to carry it week to week. So people just aren't interested in other people's thoughts on it because it's all very two-dimensional. It's just there. It's all spelling itself out for you.
I agree. And I really don't know what can necessarily fix it at this point. But, we're already more than halfway through, so I'm just going to stick with it at this point.
Oh, yeah, at this point. But you could start to get a feel for the quality of the season as a whole. Or at least half of it, because we are over the halfway point. Or it's like I said on the last review, we're in the fourth quarter. So, these 3 episodes, in order for it to be considered a great season, there's no chance of it now. It needs to be like the 3 best episodes in the history of television.
But you can still get me excited for season 2. It's like, your team sucks all year, but you get this new player starts playing and balling, and the team turns around. You're like, oh, next year we're going to...
Yeah, but this garbage time of the season, man, you can't trust those numbers. He's inefficient. Per 36 ain't adding up.
Oh, Sam Darnold's last 4 games of his rookie season were incredible. I was super excited for season 2. Didn't work out, but at least there was hope.
It's not the worst thing, obviously. It's not bad by any means, but if these, at least the last 2, or the finale, I don't even know at this point, but you need something to build that momentum to season 2 to make it worth it. Mm-hmm. Not only, from a narrative standpoint, but from a production standpoint as well. It's just if it has to come back in season 2 and they cut the budget in half, what are we looking at? What type of show is this even going to be? Can you continue with this story without that budget? Because you've established a visual tone.
You're going to have to match what you did.
Right, yeah. So there's no way it's putting up the streaming numbers to justify that. It's not even coming close to the House of the Dragon numbers. So.
And do you think this inspires anyone to get, merch?
No.
So that's
and I hate thinking that way, but
Harry Potter, one of the big draws, Marvel, one of the big draws, Spider-Man especially, on that alone, is that you're able to market and sell the fuck out of product. Game of Thrones did it too for an extent, and that makes back a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. They lost so much money because of the disappointment of season 8, because those licensing deals, people weren't renewing them, and
that's like the Avatar problem. People always talk about Avatar not having any cultural impact. I mean, the impact was $2 billion, so I don't think they needed much, but to an extent, you don't see people walking around with Avatar gear or whatever, but it still made a shit ton of money in the box office, so that's why it's coming back.
Yeah, well said. And we will be back next week to review episode 6. Hopefully it's an episode that we won't have to be as hard on. Because it's never fun being this way.
I honestly want it to be good.
Oh, yeah, of course,
I want this next
definitely.
episode to be good.
And I hope it is good. So looking forward to that. Aaron, thank you for joining me. This is where we will end our episode 5 spoiler review. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
Wait.
What was that?
I don't know. I think I wanted to say later, but it came out just like a...
It was like a combination of later and yeah.
Yeah.
You're like Lee.
Le.
Chris Tucker in Rush Hour ass.
You should title this video Has House Rings of Power lost us? And just see how much better it does.
Yeah.
Has the Rings of Power lost us? Episode 5 review. I don't even think that's bad of a title, rather than some shit people do.
No, that's not even that. It's clickbaity, yeah.
Because that's an honest,
right.
intrigue point of the video. Has Rings of Power lost us? Episode 6 review.
Question mark.
It's not, I hope these, the Amazon writers should be thrown in jail.
Some people at Amazon should be thrown in jail, not the writers.
That's why I'm waiting to see one really Bezos should be persecuted. It's welcome to the
not for the Rings of Power. Just welcome to the resistance. Yeah.
Welcome, comrade. Wow, that was probably our best review yet. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey here with a brief shameless plug before we end the video. Do you ever feel like you don't have an adequate amount of nerd soup in your life? Like you're going to bed hungry and yearning for the nonsensical yet entertaining nutrients our podcasts provide? Well, we've come up with the perfect solution. The Nerd Soup Fan Question Podcasts, exclusively available to our Patreon supporters. You can sign up now by visiting patreon.com/nerdsoup, and for the price of only $1 per month, you'll receive exclusive access to our weekly podcast, where we answer your questions that don't make it to the main show. And while you're there, you can check out the other rewards we offer to our patrons, like stickers, mugs, t-shirts, behind-the-scenes footage, and appearing in the credits at the end of our videos. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Roll the names of the nerds who make Nerd Soup possible. The reason why the crypto crash didn't send our lives spiraling down a black hole of no return. Alright, I'll stop talking so you can listen to this jazzy-ass music while checking if Beau spelt your name wrong in the credits.